Hey everybody, this Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, family and preacher moms. This is the host. I am the host of the SOS the Shout Out Show. This is another Thursday. You know what Thursday is? It is Throwback Thursdays, and we have a topic for you. And that is, what was your first car? Was it a hoopty? Were you stealing mama's car when they went to sleep, or taking daddy's car when he wasn't looking? I just want to know, because you know what? I missed that first car. The joy of having the first car, the ability to go around and move around places without asking your mom for a ride. Do you remember the last time you asked your mama for a ride or your daddy for a ride? And that look they gave you because they knew when they dropped you off, doggone it, if the other parents didn't bring you back, that they had to come pick you up too. Remember that? Remember that? Well, I hope you do, because we're going to be talking about funny first car stories. Now, if you're coming to the Shout Out Show for the first time, let me tell you how this works. First of all, welcome. We appreciate you coming on the show. You are value added. And I'm going to tell you why, because you're part of a very eclectic group here on the Shout Out Show. Those people are known as the Shout Out Show family, the Shout Out Show soldiers, and we'll get to them in a minute. But if you're coming on the show for the first time, some simple rules. We say keep it classy, but we also say don't be a wallflower. Get in the comment section. Let us know who you are. We'll let you know who we are. We are a community. While I'm the host of the Shout Out Show, this is everybody's platform. This is a community that we've been developing for a little under a year now. We're moving into a year, but we're developing this thing, and we're growing, and we're evolving. And I'm saying, be a part of our community. And if you have some friends, go to the subscription, hit subscription, subscribe, the link for notification, whatever. If you like the show. But I'm telling you, this is your platform. And I've chosen this topic. I don't know why I haven't come to this topic before. I have some funny first car stories where I needed a car, didn't have it. Needed a car, didn't have it. But before I get into that, I want to introduce my ride or dies. My first ride or dies, these are the people who are on the Shout Out Show that come and they make this thing a community. And what's funny is we all know about each other through the Shout Out Show in a lot of regards. I'm going to introduce them. I'm hoping you're going to jump in, because we're always looking for new family members, new soldiers on the Shout Out Show. Come on, jump in that comment section. You're going to see how we do it. Get your shout out. First up, we have Ree. Sister Ree is the craft services person. She is the Shout Out Show dietitian. She makes sure that your brother Preacher Mars does not starve, and at the same time does not overeat or overindulge with food. It's a balanced diet. I've been having great food for the last month or two. If she ever opens up a shop, Ree, I'm here to tell you, if you ever open up a shop, I'm going to be there at that shop, and I'm going to be bringing people. All right? Keep cooking that food, and big shout out to my main man, Derek, who he's like the Uber Eats. He's like the Uber Eats. He brings the food to you. So I got the best of both worlds. You see how it is? I'm spoiled. People, I'm saying right now, as a host, I'm spoiled. And my dad said, don't eat any show. My dad don't want me to show the food on the show. I had to, Pops. It's what it is. I have an apology to make to my Pops, too, when we're talking about first cars, all right? Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh. Sister Satana, our star in the wings. Thank you again for covering the show on Tuesday. I almost had to have you cover the show yesterday. I had quite the experience doing voiceover work, but I'm back and I survived. I'm here to tell you, voiceover work is not easy, but I appreciate the art form. I appreciate what people do to bring us great documentaries, to bring us great animation, so I will never discredit those people. Big stuff. And again, keep growing with the show, everybody. Sultana's going to have her own show, I'm telling you guys. And when she has it, I'm going to produce it. I'm telling you right now. Waalaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sister Aika, all the way from Indonesia, outside of Jakarta, Depok, Indonesia. She's here making a trip. She just finished up Fajr. I could look at the time. Just finished up Fajr. And we appreciate you coming on the journey with us, sister. You're going to have to send us some pictures of some of those cakes that you make. Because I see them on Instagram. Altaf Rashid. Waalaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, brother. Said, my apologies, I didn't do the homework. You don't have to do the homework, brother. You don't have to do the homework. I'm asking people, do you remember your first car? Do you remember what type of car it was? Do you remember what year it was? Do you remember if it ran well? Do you remember if it broke down on you? Do you remember your bummy friends all of a sudden being friends because they didn't have a car? These are questions we want to ask. I will start with myself. I had pits and starts with my cars, if you will. And what I'm saying, though, is I appreciated every car I got. The first car I got was not really a car. It was my dad's car. Yeah, my dad had a Lincoln Continental. It was cocoa brown. And I got a paper route. And there was no way I was going to be able to deliver all those papers using a bike and a basket. The first day I took those papers out, it was so many of them, I almost killed myself. And then, let's be real clear, the Sunday papers were like this thick. The Washington Post was like this thick. There's no reason in God's green earth for a paper to be that big. So Sunday was just, I'm here to tell you, Sunday was just not a good day for delivering papers. And the only thing I kind of offered my dad was, I'm going to give you a free paper. Ironically, my house was not on my paper route. Figured that one out. But I did, my father-in-law, he helped me out delivering papers. And I'm going to tell you for one time here on the Shout Out Show, there was one time my dad was not in town and I had to deliver papers and I was running late. So, Pops, I'm going to tell you, at 15 years old, I took that Lincoln Continental for a ride. And I delivered those papers. You'd be proud of me. I didn't hit anything, but I delivered those papers and got back in the bed and act like nothing happened. But I did borrow your car when I was 15. But I'm not a bum, Pops. I'm not a bum. I put some gas in there, just so you know. Waalaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We got JT in the house. JT, our topic today is first cars. Do you remember the first car you got? I'm talking about stealing my dad's car to do the paper route. I did. I admit it. I'm a bum, but I put gas in it. Probably the wrong gas, but I put gas in it. Why? Not because I was being responsible. I just didn't want to get caught. Because I didn't want to get run over by the car. So think about your first car. Okay? And I told you guys we're doing some stuff here on the Shout Out Show. We're trying to upgrade. We're trying to grow the show. So, I appreciate everybody, your patience. Things are coming along. I'm telling you, things are coming along. I'm very happy with the pace of the show. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming on the show and making this thing real for me. Okay, so we're going to start with Sister Ree. Sister Ree says her first car was late 80, early 90 used Dodge Challenger. Late 80, early. You want us to do math, huh? You need to, sister, you need to say what that car is. What year was it? I'm just going to say it was 89, okay, a 90. Okay, what was the condition of the car? I'm going to tell you my first car. I got it. My mother inherited this car after my grandfather died down in Danville, Virginia. It was a 77 or 79 Dodge Colt. It was a 77 and 79 Dodge Colt. It was white and it had the little piping on the side. It looked hot. It looked nice, especially when you don't have anything. And but I'm here to tell you, a car looks nice as opposed to a bus pass. Cars always trump bus passes. So I'm going to say that. I got Ree here saying she had an 81 Buick Regal. Does anyone remember the mileage that was on the car? Because that was a big thing. What you didn't know when you were a kid was a lot of times you got a car had a lot of mileage on it. And you know the joy of just getting a car. The joy of just getting a car is you can go places and you can be seen with a car. Some places I didn't need to go to. My neighbor lived right down the street, 2 houses, but I would still take the car. My friend Leon lived across the street. Doggone it, I drove across the street because I didn't care. That's how arrogant I was and so full of myself that I had a car because cars had status. You ever talk to a young lady in your teens and she said, you say, hey, you want to go out to a movie? She go, yeah. She go, what time you pick me up? I'm like, I thought we were going to meet there. See how that is? It blow your hustle. Ain't that right, fellas? It blow your hustle. Well, come by and meet my dad. I'm like, I am not showing up to meet your parents on foot. See, that's why I was so happy to have a car. Thank you, 1977, 79 Dodge Colt. Thank you, Lafayette Bethel. I'm not saying for passing away, but giving it to my mother. And I had a nice car. So I'm just saying, these are the things that make life worth living. Okay. Now I'm going to say something about Sultana. You still got that Challenger. Don't play with us. You still got the Challenger. I know it. That Challenger got 690,000 miles. Alto, what were you kicking up into Toronto? Alto says, my first car was my mom's. People came out of the Woodworths in high school for a ride home or a ride to lunch. Yes, because you can get to McDonald's and get back. 92 Nissan Stanza. All right. What you got here, brother? What you got here? Little brother says, I had a VW Bug with the passenger floor missing. Yeah, you had a Flintstone car. When you could look through the running board and see the ground underneath, yeah, you had a Flintstone car. I'm not knocking Flintstone cars, brothers. I'm not knocking Flintstone cars. Now, I'm going to tell you why. Because you can tell somebody, if you don't like it, walk. If you don't like it, you can walk. That's all I'm saying. If you don't like it, you can walk. Yeah, you could be real nasty. You can be real funky when you got a car and people don't have a car. Remember when people used to knock on your door and ask you to take them someplace? There was a guy in my class named Dexter Morris when I was in high school. Dexter Morris wanted me to take him to this girl's house. First of all, I had to drive from D.C. to Washington. Okay? D.C., well, I want to say Maryland to D.C. D.C. to this girl's house. I got so mad with Dexter because he was like, yeah, she's coming out. He didn't come out for like 15, 20. I left. Now, end of this story was, came to school the next day. Dexter had a black eye about half of his face. He should have come with me because she didn't tell him that she had a boyfriend. All right, Dexter, if you're watching the show, you know what? You brought it on yourself, brother. And I hope in that 45, 50 years, the eye is healed. Maybe man, you don't have a detached retina or something like that. All right, JT. All right, let me see. Can't remember the year, but it got me from point A to point B and sometimes point C. Okay, all right. I'm going to tell y'all my first real car. The one like I got for me out of college. Real talk, I bought this car. And this is when you know nothing about cars. Okay? This is when you need your parents with you. I was looking for cars out of college. I need to get around. Because I came home. If my mom was watching, if you're watching, remember when I came home and I didn't have the Dodge Colt anymore? I didn't have a car anymore? My mom gave my car away, brothers and sisters. And here's how cold it was. I came home. I was like, Mom, where's my car? She goes, nice to see you. Where the car at? It's good you home. I'm home and walking. Where the car at? Turned out she gave it to a family member. But my point is, I didn't have a car. I was back to borrowing cars, And I'm going to tell you something. The hardest thing in the world is to borrow a car from your father. Your dad, I mean, my dad, I was like, Papa, can I borrow your car? He'd be like, look at where you going now? Don't be bring them. Bring my car back on full. I got a full tank, but I'm looking at the meter, boy. I know where you're going. I'd be like, never mind, I'm just going to walk. But we loved it. My first real car that I bought, I'm not afraid to say, it was a Volkswagen Rabbit. It was a Volkswagen Rabbit. And I'm going to tell you why I bought it. Hey, we got Miss Eleanor. What's going on, Miss Eleanor? Oh, this is going to be good. Miss Eleanor, what was the first car you had? I miss you too. I'm going to see you guys soon. Y'all are eating pound cake. Oh, that's wrong. Why you do that, Miss Eleanor? You know I got a pound cake addiction. Don't ever do that again. I got a pound cake addiction. I'm trying to work through my problems. Pound cake is from the devil. And if the devil bought it for me, I will eat it. That's all I'm saying. All right, good to see you, Miss Eleanor. Miss Eleanor, tell us your first car. Mom, tell us your first car. She'll be like, it was a buggy in a wagon. You know, my mom got beat. See, we didn't have cars back then. We had horses. I had a horse named Bungee Jump. Yeah, you got to be careful about the car question. The first car I bought, now my dad is probably going to remember this because we had to keep taking the car back. I think it was a Volkswagen Rabbit, something along those lines, or Passat. It was, Volkswagen had all those different things. Oh, Mom said her first car was, so the VW was your first car. Oh, I didn't know, Mom. I didn't know. I was joking about your first car being a horse. It might have went over your head, but it was funny to me. And that's what's important because I run the show. Okay, Mom, you remember this car? It was a Volkswagen, and I bought it. Here's the reason why I bought the Volkswagen. This is how crazy it was. I bought this Volkswagen, brothers and sisters. I'm being totally honest. I bought the Volkswagen because the Volkswagen had a cassette deck in it. It had a cassette deck in it. You could take a tape and put it in there. We're talking, of course, 1988, but none of my boys had that. Everybody was riding on AM, FM radio, and your boy had a cassette deck. We ain't talking about how's the engine, the mileage, the tires, when the last time I got a checkup, a maintenance checkup. No. All I was concerned about was that the cassette deck worked, and I had them put it in, and boy, you couldn't tell me anything. I was the baddest thing since the fried chicken. You could not tell me anything. And I wore that cassette deck out, not knowing that years later, probably a month later, everybody had a cassette deck. But my point was, I was living a life. The car, I'm going to tell you something about the car. The car was horrible, okay? The car was horrible. I would drive it like for an hour, 45 minutes, get out of the car, get back in the car. It wouldn't start. I was driving around, and I go into the mall, come back, it wouldn't start. So I found out what it was because we kept taking it up to this place in Arlington, and they kept saying it works. It would work for them by the time they got to it, but it really wasn't working. The funny part about this was, at a point, I didn't want to tell my parents that I made a bad deal about this car, that I only wanted it for the cassette deck. So I just wouldn't tell them what was happening. Finally, after years of having this car, a friend of mine basically told me, what you have is a strip starter. And what happened was, when a starter would heat up, it would expand incorrectly, and it wouldn't, for some reason, you have to wait for it to cool so it would start again. So it was a malfunction in the starter. So it would expand, and you have to wait like an hour and a half. So I remember taking this young lady out. We were going out, hanging out, going to the movie or something like that. And it was okay because the movie was 2 hours. We drove there, started, expanded, closed up. When I got back in the car, I confidently started the car. So we were going to go get something to eat, going to a restaurant. Got to the restaurant, brothers and sisters, the line was out of the door. I'm chilling. I'm thinking, no problem. She's like, you know what? Why don't we go down to Arby's and get something to eat? And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, because we need at least 45 minutes for the starter to go down. We ain't going nowhere. And the funny part was, the only way you can get it started if you couldn't wait it out is you had to get a jump to spark it. And so she was like, so why do we have to wait so long? I was like, you know what? It ain't gonna work out between you and I because you asked too many questions. Althoff says, my dad made sure he had a minivan. No way I was driving that. He just ain't want you to drive, Althoff. That was a you will not drive my car. I think my father had a Lincoln Continental. He had a Peugeot. I sported both of them. I ain't afraid to tell my dad. I sported those cars like they were mine. They're like, how's this your car? I'm like, girl, I be selling drugs. But but real talk, I love that car because the Peugeot had fuel injection. You would click, boom. Loved it. Me and my boys, Pops, I'm here to tell you, we enjoyed your car more than you know. So, whoa, Miss Eleanor said her first car was a Thunderbird. Okay, I dig it. Is the Thunderbird what year, Miss Eleanor? Now, Satana's messing with me. Cassette or 8-track? Satana, you know at that age, because you're younger than I am, you are not going to be riding around with an 8-track. Now, my dad's Lincoln Continental, the Cocoa Brown one, it did have an 8-track in it, but that's when everybody had an 8-track. You listen to Al Green. Don't you know that I'm still in click in love, so much in love with you. I miss 8-tracks. I still got some at my mom's house. Yeah, if we ever clean out the basement, I'll bring some to you, let you know that I'm not lying. So that was it, man. I love that one. I think the other thing is the company that you kept. All of a sudden, like my whole circle of influence changed when I got a car. My whole circle of influence changed when I got a car. People be calling you up. What you doing? Why don't we? Wait. What you mean we? And you knew who your friends were. Because when you're going for something, your friends will say something like, let me put something on the gas. That was a true friend. Do you know how many broke Negroes and Negro ex I had in my car who thought that you could ride all day long for free? Now, back in the day, I used to go to the go-go. I'm going to tell you right now, I used to go to the go-go. And the fun of going to the go-go, brothers and sisters, is like, you're there. And also the thing about me going to the go-go back in the day is it allowed for enough time for that strip starter to go down. But my point is, listen, man, it create all kind of scenarios, situations. And remember you had a car, it was a neighborhood car. When I say it's a neighborhood car, it meant you rode it around the neighborhood. So if it broke down, you were close to home. Remember that time you actually went further than your normal boundaries? Remember how nervous you got? I remember I had to drive to school. I'd been building up, I had to drive to school. My dad and my mom were so happy that when I got that car that I would drive to school and they didn't have to drive me to school. They loved it. But man, I'm here to tell you, you would be driving like, man, if this joint break down, like your first breakdown is traumatic. I don't care who you are. Flat tire, radiator bust, whatever. That first breakdown, because back in the day, brothers and sisters, the truth of the matter was you did not have cell phones. Hear me now. You didn't have cell phones. You would have to walk to the next symbol or sign of life and hope that there was a payphone. Man, and you talk about AAA back in the day. It's not like it is now. They have GPS and da-da-da. You would have to call AAA, trying to figure out where you were. The most frustrating thing in the world is you're trying to figure out where you are. They're like, where are you located? You forgot. You're like, I got to call you back and run down to this spot, get the address, and call AAA again. Thank goodness for cell phones. Even though they rule our lives, brothers and sisters, it does make things a lot easier when your car breaks down. Now, my first accident in my first car, I will not lie. I was going to school, had to pick up this guy. He was a Muslim brother named Muhammad Ali Hashi. Muhammad Ali Hashi. I remember Muhammad because he used to make jokes about me not being Muslim, and I used to make jokes about him not washing his behind. The boy smelled like burnt mustard with mayo on top. But I would take him to school, and it was interesting because he and I were arguing, and I ran into the back of this guy. I bumped him, and the guy got out of the car. He had to be like 280 pounds, and he had on slippers. Now, at 17 years old, I'm intimidated, but I'm about to laugh because the slippers are not like man slippers. They're not like the slides. Like, we didn't have slides back then. Like, you had to have like some real, and I guess they were like his slippers, but I swear to gosh, like they had cat eyes on them, and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And I was looking at him. He's like, "What? You got something against cats?" I was like, "No, I like cats." Meow, meow. So I'm just saying that's the first thing. But I think the thing about, and I'll say this about cars, your first car, for lack of a better word, it just made you feel important. Can I say that? It made you feel important. I'm not saying better than anybody else, but it's that first piece of having something that you're responsible for that wasn't your little brother or your little sister or your cousin. It was the first thing you were responsible for. And I remember we all got our cars about the same time on my block. Big brother Rick, Juan Lowe, Leon already drove, Robin Grant already drove, Chris Randolph was behind us. Well, we had a group of people who, kids, we drive, and just things. You could do things with that car. And it gave you a sense of pride. I washed my car every Saturday after I cut the grass. That was my thing because I wanted to look good. We put armor on the tires. That Volkswagen I had, that car, when I came home from college, it was missing again. Thanks, Ma. I was like, Ma, where's my car? It's so good to have you home. I was like, it's in car heaven with that Dodge Colt. But my point is, I can sit here and laugh about this because it was a fun time. It's a fun time when you watch your parents watch you drive off in the car and they smile and wave hoping, I hope this fool don't hit nothing. It was fun. And it was a family thing. And you know what? For all the things that have happened since then, pandemic, economy crashing, stuff like that, you know what? It's a rite of passage. Can I say that? It's like it doesn't matter whether you're black, white, male, female, whatever religion. It's a rite of passage that you get a driver's license and you get to drive a car. And if you're lucky, you get to drive your own car. Uh-oh. Same slipper guy from Drug House. No, thank goodness it was not Molten. I'm glad you pay attention, Sultana. No, I'm going to check on Molten. I'm going to just do a check so I can talk about him later on in the show, maybe in a couple weeks or so. No, oh, you need that. Oh, you mean the guy in the crack house? Yeah, no, thank goodness. Woo, girl, thank goodness I hit him. It wasn't him. I know why. I know why it wasn't him. You know why? Because he didn't have a spatula and he wasn't trying to make grilled cheese sandwiches. Gotcha. Okay. So as we wrap up today, brothers and sisters, on the Shout Out Show, Throwback Thursdays, you know what? This whole topic was just about a little bit about appreciation. A little bit about appreciation. Having a laugh and appreciating some of the things you've gone through that were fun. The little rites of passage. And I'm telling everybody, I miss them, I know a lot of you have kids and, a lot of us have kids and you sit up here and you go, man, you're sitting there thinking about your baby being 13, 14, 15, 16. It's like, I got to give him my car. It's okay. It's all right. So if any of you are worried about having to give your children a car, don't worry. On behalf of myself and people associated with the Permissible Laughter audience and management, if you have to give your child their first car, call me. Because I would like to donate my 1979 Dodge Colt. Mom, get that car out. Find out where it is and give it to these people. Okay, before we go, we want to give another shout out for our Saturday Spotlight, brothers and sisters. Our Saturday Spotlight will be Miss Sylvia Traymore Morrison. Sylvia Traymore is going to be on the show. Now, she's our first comedian that we've had on. But let me even go further. She's our first comedian that we've had on, but more importantly, she's our first comic legend. And with it being International Women's Month, I wanted to make sure I wasn't slipping. And I thought this would be a great opportunity, if you will, to introduce you to one of the funniest women in the business, also one of the nicest people in the business, but also one of the talented people in the business. This woman goes all the way back to Red Fox. She was managed by Red Fox. John Majors told me about this woman years ago before I ever met her. And I'm here to tell you, she's been gracious enough to come on the show and talk about her history, her journey. I'm hoping she's going to bring some books on. Maybe you guys could purchase some of her books to support her art. She has a project where she's doing a one-woman play where she plays like 7 or 9 different characters. She's doing the Mom's Mabley play. They're getting ready to put her in a documentary about black comedian legends because she's been overlooked so much. We're going to give her her flowers here on the Shout Out Show, brothers and sisters. That's what we're going to do. Sylvia Traymore, my friend. So make sure that you check it out and enjoy, brothers and sisters, because I'm here to tell you, this is a rare opportunity. I'm not being funny. This is a rare opportunity when you can bring somebody on the show who, her connection to me is Muhammad Ali. Her connection to me is Dick Gregory. I met her at Dick Gregory's funeral, brothers and sisters. So it was just meant to be. And I've been a little brother to this big sister for the time we met. So I appreciate everybody. Listen, this is the show. I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday Funnies. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your Shout Out Show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next Shout Out Show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from ThrowBack. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out ThrowBack.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.